The Nagpur test is just about 24 hours away from India and Australia going head on. Remember, it is a virtual preview to the ICC World Test Championship final. But all the talk about the first test build-up has been on this 22-yard strip. Nagpur pitches, it's a match made in hell, indeed. 2004, India versus Australia. Australia got an early Christmas present when they were dished out a green deck with live grass. And what happened? They finally conquered the final frontier after 35 long years. Then when India were playing South Africa in Nagpur, the pitch was given a poor rating that drew a lot of criticism for the ICC. Now, in 2023, this center strip at the VCA Stadium in Jamta has now come under the news because of these two visuals. Why are these two visuals very, very important? Because one of the journalists had said, interesting treatment of the pitch in Nagpur. The ground staff watered the entire center of the surface and only the length areas outside the left-hander's leg stump, and then rolled only the center, stopping short every time they got to the good length areas at both the ends. So the hard lengths, the back of the length, the good lengths have been watered. The other part, the good length in certain areas and the foolish length have not been watered, leaving it dry. So a two-paced spin track, a rank turner on the cards. Well, Ravi Shastri has said that he would want a pitch that turns square from day one onwards, because that is how Australia's weakness is, combating high quality spin. But this development has not left the Australian media impressed at all. They have called it pitch doctoring. They have gone to that length to say that the pitch at the VCA Stadium has been doctored. This was the reaction that Fox Sports, one of the outlets in Australia, had said. This was the headline with which they gave. It's poor. Major hint for shock Aussie debut as India accused of straight up pitch doctoring. India have been accused of, because it's simple. Why would you want to water the entire center of the surface and only the length areas outside the left-hander's leg stump? It's probably to negate the advantage that Australia's pace bowlers could have hitting the hard lengths. Remember, the likes of Pat Cummins, the likes of the other Aussie bowlers like to maintain that hard length, the short of a length by which they can trouble the Indian batsman. But apparently in this case, the pitch is watered. It can work both ways. The hard length pace and bounce can be negated, and also it can mean that it could also be very, very up and down. It can pose a danger as well. It can work two ways. The Sydney Morning Herald, with its opinion piece, has said triumph on doctored pitches would be Australia's greatest. I mean, if you have to look at it, if this is a very, very up and down and rank turner of a wicket, well, then the term doctored might not be a very, very subtle way. Because look, in 2017, Australia were dealt with an absolute rank turner in Pune, but they managed to win that thanks to Steve O'Keefe's 6 wickets in both innings and also by Steve Smith's masterclass 100. Here, the likes of Marnus Labuschagne, David Warner, Usman Khawaja, Steve Smith, Travis Head, they all will have to really apply themselves if they have to do well on this pitch. But the comment of doctored seems to be very, very unreasonable for a lot of instances. Because look, you are the home team. You prepare conditions according to the strengths of the home team, right? All the strengths that you will prepare for. It's not 2004 when the BCCI gifted Australia a big Christmas present with a green tinge wicket at Nagpur. The Australian had a headline which said, India's shifty pitch doctoring influencing Aus selection. So again, this word of pitch doctoring, and news.com.au straight up has said, straight up pitch doctoring. Image exposes India's blatant ploy to destroy Australia in first test. It's clear that all the cards have been stacked up to India so that they can get the optimum advantage in the first test. The pitch, if you want to look at it, is dry in certain areas and watered and rolled, and so that it's a bit two-paced at one particular point in time. But the bigger question is it wrong? Is it wrong to doctor pitches and give it to the home advantage? Because look, you play at home, it is because you have all the conditions, you know all the conditions well, the pitch will be prepared accordingly. Yes, Australia may have a gripe because they don't prepare conditions, they don't prepare pitches that will suit them. They don't dish out rank turners, they don't dish out rank green tinges. They play on hard, true, flat wickets where the bowlers will have to work very hard. Melbourne is a classic case, Brisbane is a classic case, Perth is a classic case, the new Optus Stadium may not necessarily be the Wacker. Sydney is a classic case. You won't see pitches that overtly favor spin or overtly favor pace. Adelaide, maybe the ping ball might assist the pacers, but it is true for both sides. One-sided advantage is a big problem when it comes to pitches. And remember, the ICC bias and the Western media bias that is there when it comes to Indian pitches has been glaringly obvious for the past decade or so. But remember, overtly spinning or rank turners can backfire. Happened in 2012 in Mumbai, India versus England. Happened in Pune, 2017, India versus Australia. India were at the receiving end of the opponent's skills. So that is why maybe there is too much talk on the pitch debate that is there. But the reaction that the Australian media has had kind of borders on paranoia, because if it's doctored, if the batsmen don't have the skills, then can they afford to come to India every time and complain? No. You play according to the pitches and the conditions that you do. But with Australia, this is not the first time that they have raised an issue on pitches. Remember, in 1988, when conditions in Karachi against Pakistan, it was a dry dust bowl, they threatened to go home. Here, Australia may not want to do it. But this talk about pitch doctoring and suiting it to the home team's advantage, well, it might be a case of crying foul way too early, because if Australia can get the better of India, so be it. If they manage to do it, see, triumph on any kind of a pitch would be Australia's greatest. The term doctored might be used out of context here, because look, if you want to have certain areas that may suit the home team, what is the big harm in it? England have always prepared green tinges so that it can suit their paces. So why not India can prepare their own pitches here and ensure that they get the advantage? Australia, they don't have the situation there wherein they can make pitches that are suited to every kind of bowling there. They do struggle. It is flat decks. Australia just has true bounce. But otherwise, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, they all need a lot of hard work. So that is why pitch doctoring straight up, it's poor already. It borders on, you may say, Australian paranoia. One hopes that the Australian batsmen shut out the outside noise and play well on this deck, because the true greatness of a side is assessed on the basis of how they perform in any condition. One hopes that Australia can do that. And remember, the World Test Championship final is very intense at this point in time. We have 3 series lined up, which could be potentially deciding as to who will play the final on June 7th at the Oval. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We'll be back with more updates, and I will be back with a thorough, comprehensive and a final explainer on the World Test Championship cycle. After that, the topic will be discussed only on June 7th. Thank you, folks.